Okay. Now I believe we are good to go. Unmute. Unmute. There we go. Perfect. All right. So, for everyone watching, welcome to another Get to Know Another Music Person or Get to Know Music Person. I don't have proper names for these things yet. Where we talk about different local musicians and music people. There's a reason for, I'll talk about in another video, the difference between music people and musician in my head. So today we have Leslie Ayuneye. Ayuneye? Am I right?
You got it. Yeah,
Because I'm
you
like,
got it.
I already lost it. So we're going to be talking with her, getting to know her a bit, and what she does. If you are watching live, then you can join us in chat. And if you have questions for Leslie, feel free to throw them in there. We're just going to get to learn about what she does with music and other things she does around here. So how's it going, Leslie? What's new? What's happening?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing well. I'm working full time. I'm in the middle of a renovation and you know, trying to have fun in the meantime as well. So,
I
how about
mean,
you?
that's
Have you
having
been
fun.
surviving this world?
Well, I mean, at least, I mean, you've been working. Some of us haven't been, so it's whatever. That's how it works. Where do you work anyway? I know, but
I
you know.
for my adoring fans. I work at the Cameras Women's Shelter.
Okay, and you do that full time
Yeah,
then, right?
I do. I work with the outreach team.
Okay.
And so, sorry, I want to hear you a little bit better.
Okay. Cool.
Um, so we especially help women who come into the shelter and then they want to transition into our community and we can stay in touch with them that way. Or there are some women or families that they don't have a need to come into shelter, but they still need some support. And so we offer that as well as doing some, educational outreach and that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
I've been doing some videos with my coworker about safety planning, and it's on the Cameras Women's Shelter safety
I should look
Facebook
that up.
page.
Okay. Yeah. There's the other thing. I'll add that to the description. But there are things. If you look underneath her in the overlay, there's like Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube things. But there's also, I mean, check out the women's shelter stuff because yeah, I've been seeing those videos too. And I mean, hey, they'll be helpful to some people. I mean, it's just that's what videos like that are for. Because sometimes
Mm,
people just, it might be a little, I find sometimes it's scary to talk to people, so why not watch a video about it instead, you know? And that might
yeah.
pull somebody in. So, so let's get into the music side of things. So how long have you been playing music? There's your,
There's my what?
there's your, just go ahead, go nuts, talk about music. There's your thing.
All right, so I'll give you the whole story.
Okay.
So I grew up in Daysland, just down the road from Camrose, right? And I grew up. My family went to the Catholic Church there, and in the Catholic Church in Daysland at that time, there was one family, the Blatzes. Anita Blatz was the mother, and she had three daughters. And the interesting thing about that church is there was no choir. It's just like the traditional two long rows of pews kind of thing.
Right.
And so Anita would be at the front of the church, but her daughters would be out in the congregation, just among everybody else. But you could hear, especially the soprano harmony, just like carry above everything else. And so I would try and copy the other harmonies that were happening in the church singing. And so when people ask like when did you first start doing music, it was by going to church, which I think is for a lot of people.
Yeah. That's me.
Um, it's a very musical space, and that, and a sacred kind of music. So it's different than other kinds of music that you may be exposed to as a child, right?
Well, and especially compared to, I mean, the whole contemporary movement in the church of like that kind of like poppy music, whatever, choral music and stuff. Like you learned harmonies, you learned how to sing your parts, and I mean that's where, I mean, you pick. Okay, I'm going to sing the alto part, so you're picking the fifths of the chord or something, and singing through that, or tenor and thirds, and everyone steals the tenor part, and it's like, no, you're an alto, sing your alto part. I know alto parts are boring, but sing your alto part. It's that kind of. I'm a bass, so I just carry the roots. That's all I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and so being able to hear that and kind of develop an ear for it, and then later on, I got to work with Val Bailey actually from from Augustana,
Right.
I was friends with her niece. And so Kelly Blatz and I and Anna Radchenko, we were the three that we got to learn. What was the song we did? We did Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, which is a female version of Scarborough Fair.
Okay.
And like full harmonies, like and interesting harmonies, like not just, pick the third and then
Right.
stay there, just follow the melody, but like, switching down into the root, or wandering around in these different ways and having
Right.
the harmony cross with the melody. So yeah, I'm a harmony singer first. All the other things I do so that I can find other people to play, because harmony is like one of the things you just can't do it by yourself. You can't.
I mean, yeah, even if you isolate like your harmony line, you're like, that sounds weird. I mean,
Yeah.
some alto parts are literally you're on the same note until the end of the phrase, and you're like, well, that was exciting.
Got some good practice in there.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think it's really important to listen and try to sing those harmonies. I know everybody knows, well, hopefully everybody knows the melody of certain songs, but trying to pick out those different parts, like especially if they're tight harmonies, 3-part, 4-part, 20-part harmonies or something silly, that being able to pick out your part can be extremely difficult when you're fighting other people for it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's my note. No, it isn't. That's my note. And then you're like, what? And then you have to go sit down at a piano and hash it out.
Yes. Oh shoot! I should have. Sorry, I was ill prepared for our interview today. There's a lot of things I didn't provide you with, but you know that I play with Somewhere in Between.
Yeah.
And Arnold White is the lead singer in there, and I'm always fighting with Arnold. So like, Arnold, that's my harmony.
I know. Yeah.
But it's the easiest, or not the easiest one, but it's the one that he gravitates to, and I'm like, fine, I'll pick a new one.
Well, and I mean, it's tricky because, even singing in a church setting, like contemporary worship, you have somebody who wants their harmony and they just know how to sing it that way. And in my brain, I was trained classically, so it was like, okay, I'm going to sing the tenor part, but then they go to the tenor part and they're like, okay, then I'll go alto part, and then they'll go alto part. I'm like, stop switching parts, just pick one. And so you have to accommodate for somebody else if they can't do it,
Yeah.
And I don't like singing bass because it's boring, because I play bass, so I'll play bass and sing a harmony. That's how I work.
Yeah. That's challenging.
It is hard, especially on the upright bass, because it's like, my intonation's off. And then the harmony dies that I'm trying to sing. Yeah. So through the church, and then what instruments do you play?
I also learned the first instrument I learned was organ, but I hate playing. I hate playing the organ. I hate it. I actually learned from Mr. Chomlak, Al Chomlak's dad, and his mom. Actually, I learned from both of them, and in their house. And so, but I learned organ, and I hate playing it. And so when people ask me to play keys, I'm like, no, I don't want to. Then I started playing guitar. When I was going abroad in 2009, that's when I decided to switch to ukulele, because you could only have one piece of checked luggage. And so and an ukulele is a carry-on, and so it was very logistical at first. But then once I started traveling with my ukulele, I was like, wow, there are guitars everywhere. Like everywhere in the world you can find a guitar. But ukuleles are a bit of a different beast, and people are interested. Oh, what is that thing, and how do you play it? And it's not intimidating. Like, people who wouldn't pick up a guitar, somehow they're like, here, give me that. Maybe because it looks like a toy, or like you see children playing small instruments like that, and so it's very disarming. And so that's around that time was when I became a musician.
With the ukulele then, so you're saying like where did you travel? And then so over there it was unique, right? Is that what you're saying? Like where did you do your travels?
So at that time I moved to South Central China, in a town called Yangshuo. And so I was there for about 9 months. I also went on the Augustana in India tour. So I was in India and Nepal for about 2.5 months. And it was during that travel that I decided I was going to become a musician, because I was, traveling around with this ukulele and trying to play, and I like singing and stuff like that. And there are just musical jams in cafes all over the place. People are wandering around with instruments and want to play and sing together and hang out. And there's a lot of, again, worship in song, especially in the following Krishna, people just sit and sing for like hours and hours and hours. So it's really, there is none of the boring church parts. That it's only the good church parts.
And I mean, that's going to be up to interpretation to some people, I think, but
I always knew that that church was 4 songs long.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, at that time, Catholic Church. Anyway, okay. So the people were saying, "Oh, you're a musician. You're a musician." And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not a musician. I just play a little bit of ukulele and da da da." And they're like, "No, you're a musician." And one day I was like, "Look, everybody else says that you're a musician, and you yourself would like to call yourself that. But what is it that you need to do before you feel like you can take on that title of musician?" And I was like, okay, so I have to write my own songs. I have to get better at my instrument, because I think I only knew like, I don't know, 4 chords or something like that. So I got a circle of fifths. That was the first time that I'd seen the circle of fifths. And so I started making like circle of fifths to like give around to other musicians and stuff like that. I needed to play plugged in, like with amplification in front of people, because like I had done it otherwise. I needed to record, and what else I needed to make money doing music. I needed to get paid to play.
Yep.
And then at the end, the very last thing, I wanted to lead a circle of other musicians. I wanted to lead a song circle. And so it was my birthday, and I said, okay, by my next birthday, I'm going to be a musician. And I needed to do all of those things.
Yeah.
And
you did them?
Yep. 2 days before my birthday, the next birthday, my CD was delivered to me at the Robson Valley Music Festival.
Jeez. See,
yeah.
And that's like, I mean, you put your own goals and like what you would constitute as a musician. I think that's important to have those goals. I've written stuff, but I don't put it out there a lot more. It's more like poetry and lyrics, but I'm like, how did that affect what people think of me, right? Because some of it I'm like, this is dark. I'm in a bad space. I don't think people would want to hear that, and because I can write silly kid songs, but I can also write stuff that people be like, whoa. And I admire people who can write music and just do it. Like, there's a song. So, I mean, but having those goals, again, this is part of why it's called music person rather than musician, because some people might not consider themselves a musician.
Okay, I was wondering what your distinction was. I was like, wait, tell me what that distinction is.
Well, and that's just a part of it. But I mean, I want to invite anyone who onto this live stream, just who thinks like if they play music at all, because I think there's you get so many different points of view with music that way. You can have people who are busy working musicians. You can have people who are just like, I do it for fun. So, I'm going to have teachers. I'm going to have all sorts of people on here. And so it'll be different. And, but I think that distinction is, I guess you make it your own. It's like, I mean, the definition of professional is like, I make money at it. That could be you make $2 and it's like, I'm a professional, So what do you want out of music? And you can be a musician just by playing an instrument. But you can set your own goals too, and I think that's noble enough.
Well, one of my other instruments that I play is people. I always have, well, not right now, it's upstairs because I was late in getting my things together. But typically I have like all these small instruments, right? Like an egg shaker or a kazoo, or, well, I'm not passing around kazoos, but
yeah, no, that
I'm like it's a bring your own kazoo party these days. But like all of these little shaker instruments or a little drum or something like that, right? And so I can't even tell you how many times I've been in a group of people and I just start handing things out, you know, and people are like, oh, no, 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 I can't play. And I'm like, but it's just an egg. Like, here, take it. Just hold it for a minute, okay? Because it's not so scary, right? And, you know, 1, 2, 3 songs in, then they're like shaking the crap out of that egg. They're just like, yeah. And then they come up to me afterward and they're like, thank you so much, because I didn't think that I could ever be a part of the music. Like, I thought that I was on the outside watching, but that I was a part of it. And that's the thing, as you know, when you play with others, there's this quality of experience of being in the present moment and creating something meaningful and beautiful with others. And it gives you like this little hum or like a vibration or, you know, a warm, fuzzy feeling or whatever. And so even by holding that egg and shaking it, that person has like become a part of that hum and that creative process. And it's, yeah, that's really
Yeah,
cool.
no, and I think that's important because I think some areas of music there can also be a lot of pretension or something where it's like, well, you can't do that. And so by bringing people in, just like, here's an instrument. I mean, even if you're clapping, that's an instrument too, but who cares? Ignore what's going on around you. You're making music. Some areas, like the funniest thing when in university would be like at the end of a movement or something, it's like, can we clap now? But it's like, no, you don't clap. You wait till the end of the thing. And so there's all these rules, and it's like, okay, rules, I guess. You know?
I think one of my favorite solos at a jam ever was at North Country Fair 2 years ago, and we went down to the river to continue the jam because our neighbors wanted to sleep. So we took all of our instruments, including upright bass and cello and like all of that, down to the river. And our other friends had been like dancing and hula hooping and stuff like that. So they all hop in the river and they're swimming while we're playing. And in the middle of this song, I just turned over and I was like, river solo. And all the instruments went quiet. And then just all the river people were doing percussion, like on the river. And then later on, I don't know, maybe Facebook algorithms or whatever, but I saw a video that there are some women in the north who would find different pieces of ice and play the ice as instruments. And then also Royal Canoe, which is a band out of Winnipeg, this winter they did an ice performance where they just live streamed their the video of it. I think you can probably still find it on YouTube, but they had like a what's that instrument where you hit it with mallets?
Like
and
a
it's
marimba
like
or xylophone?
marimba, yeah, or xylophone. And then the drummer had a kick, but he had, as a hi-hat, he had a bowl, like an ice bowl full of ice chunks. And he had this big glove on and he was just like in this thing full of ice. So
No,
yeah,
I think I've seen something like that where it's like essentially an ice band and you're like, okay, sure.
yeah, yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, neat. But yeah, I think you know, you can again put rules to music, but where's the fun in that sometimes? What's his face? I've been watching some of the Jacob Collier stuff. Do you know who he is at all? He does some crazy, ridiculous. He's like ADHD, but like music crazy stuff. Like he talks microtonal stuff, and some of his compositions, it's just like all these ridiculous chords. He does tons of covers, but it's like there's things he hears, but he feels like even when he started, he talks about like his ear was so high, but he didn't have the technique for it, so he didn't know how to produce the sounds, and he's still working at getting to produce those sounds, but he doesn't know how to do it still. But he's very technical about it too. Like you look at some of his like recording stuff that he's done in like Logic or whatever, and it's like tons of tracks. And it's like, I'm a person who likes live. I like just going and doing it because things happen, whatever, but it's still fun. You can, in recording, you can essentially make it perfect if you want to, but live, who cares if it's perfect? You can yell at sound man. So. And I'm a sound man. I know these things. You can yell.
And it's the thing that you can get it in recorded music. It's rare, but to be able to capture that presence and that warm, tingly feeling that I was talking about.
Yeah.
There are some songs that have been able to do that, but I mean, there's nothing that compares to that live moment when the music is being created and heard simultaneously. Yeah, it's powerful. It's a powerful way to be present with one another.
Yeah, and I think I mean the power of music too with that is like sometimes I find just like, you know, you're might be laying down tracks, and then when you get like a fuller sound, you're like, yeah, like I can go into this. And even just sitting in a space, you're playing a song, some songs might not do it, but then you hit a certain song, I don't know what it is, the key, the rhythm, something, and then you're just, yep, let's do this for like 5 hours, just keep playing the same thing over and over. I don't care, I won't get bored of it. You know, I don't know, it's just that kind of feel. It's like, yeah, let's keep this song going, because in live you can do that. You can just like go forever. And I think there's this interesting thing, and I mean, this is like going into the technical of it, but there's the music psychology of like certain frequencies being beneficial to certain things. Some people like certain keys because of certain things, and I don't know enough about that, but it's a interesting thing.
Have you ever played in 432?
No, I wouldn't.
Have you heard of? Have you? Pardon?
It's 440 or nothing, isn't it? Isn't that the rule?
Oh, have you not heard of a 432 tuning?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Really? Oh, okay. So actually, there's a YouTube video on it where a guy tunes to 440 and then into 432.
Okay.
And to see what the different frequencies. So for those folks who are wondering what we're talking about, it's the frequency that it's tuned to, right? It's
like the A. Yeah. A is 440.
I thought it's C.
It's A.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
there's actually
that side of the music. So anyway, there's when if you play sound through some liquids and stuff like that, the vibration creates a pattern on top of the water, like a ripple on the water.
Right.
And if you play 440, the ripple is it's flooded, right? You can't see like distinct ripple lines really. It's just kind of like a big wash.
Yeah.
But if you tune to 432, the pattern that comes out looks like the flower of life pattern. And when you listen to it, like if you go on to YouTube and you listen to this guy he's playing a classical piece on guitar, and he switches between 440 and 432, and the place that you hear the music in 440 is like somewhere up here, like up and behind your ears. But when you switch into 432, it moves down in your body, like where you I don't understand it, but it's like where you experience the sound moves down more into your core and around your heart area, and like your shoulders relax a little bit. Anyway, so when 440 tuning was standardized, it was during the Second World War, I believe. And it was after testing had been done on which frequencies created anxiety in humans.
Interesting.
And, had just like a little bit of not well-being. And 440 is actually a tuning that creates just that little bit of anxiety. Go ahead and listen.
No, yeah. I mean, this is, and I talked about this. I'm doing a video, and I talk about frequencies and like especially bass frequencies, but the idea that like definitely and you have to use like a decent sound. Like you're not going to be able to hear it as well on your phone, but if you have like a decent speaker or something, you can listen to it, or headphones, you'll definitely be able to hear these like weird things sometimes. I mean, the idea of some of these haunted houses, it's essentially a weird frequency because of old wiring and stuff in the house that's throughout the house. Like that's your uneasy feeling, is there's a frequency you might not hear, it's just there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting though. I know there's guitar players talk about even tuning, like you're not tuning perfectly 100% an E and A, you're like percentages off. To hit harmonic resonance, like a nice solid sound. So that's getting the nerdy part of it, though. It's like really getting, and it's not even that nerdy, but it's like you have your sweet spots you hear, and then you could like monitor it with a tuner or something. But that's interesting. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, trust me, you have like a lovely nerd out day ahead of you if you start
every day.
just like, going and looking at the way that sounds, how it feels. And you can, when I came across this, I didn't have a very good speaker system. I think I was just listening off my computer or something like that. And it felt different. Yeah. Like the felt sense of music. And I hadn't even considered that might, like, how could that even be? As I said, I don't understand it, but that's how I experience it anyway, is it changes where the music lands in my body.
Well, and I mean, we could really go into, you referenced water, right? The way it affects the water's vibrations. I mean, our bodies are water, right? So there's probably something like we're all goo inside, right? That's how it works.
Mostly.
But I mean, to get even into the electrical impulse in your head and stuff, there's a lot that I think those frequencies must affect it.
Yeah.
And we could get into conspiracies of like 5G or whatever and talk about how those are probably going to kill our brains and give us cancer, but we're not going to go. Sorry.
Let's not go there.
So,
but I did make a lullaby, a series of tracks for my friend's son. When I found out about this, she asked me to make a lullaby CD for him. And so I recorded songs I was like, well, if it's a lullaby, it's going to be in 432.
You didn't find the most unsettling frequencies you could, just like the comforting? Okay, fair enough.
No, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Good. You made a child feel better about themselves rather than feel nervous about life. So drummer Dan has a question. He's wondering if you have any uke players musician recommendations.
Oh. Shoot. See, the thing about, because people ask me about different music that I listen to and stuff like that, and most of the music that I listen to is people that I know. And so, like, I don't know a lot of other ukulele players. People keep telling me to listen to Beirut. Is that their name?
I don't know.
Anyway. And then people are always like, when I first started, wandering around with a ukulele, people would come up and go, tiptoe through the tulips, It was like some 1920s guy who did and the washing windows song. But anyway.
They haven't tried to do Somewhere Over the Rainbow or anything like that too?
Yes. Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, do you know that song? And actually I don't. It's very hard. Because both of those songs are so, like, the way that he puts those two songs together, it's actually, it sounds spectacular, but it's not intuitive. So it's challenging to be able to decouple that one song in this particular way and the other one and mesh them together that way. But
well, and I wanted to get back to just, you referenced that when you did your travels, people were like, that's a ukulele, what is that, sort of thing. This might just be my experience in Western sides of things, but like a lot of people know what ukulele is. They like say it's like, oh, it's a ukulele. Like, is that a thing where it's more popular here than like going to other countries? What do you find? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. And when I started, it was 2009. And so, I mean, there was a ukulele. Actually, there's a ukulele revolution. Yeah. And the way that I know that it's a revolution is that there were a group of young people in Indonesia, and this was probably around 2012, 2011, something like that. And they were singing revolutionary songs against the government with ukuleles because ukuleles were so much cheaper to get than a guitar. Yeah. And so the government came and cracked down and like smashed their instruments, like took them away and like jailed some of them. And so ukuleles can be revolutionary instruments.
I mean, mine has corners on it, so it could be used as a weapon too.
There you go. You only get one smash with that thing though. Like you don't get more than one.
I don't know. We could see. Oh, depends.
But there's other instruments that are quite similar. Like I haven't come across a quattro, but it's or a cavaquinho in Brazil, but that is supposedly very similar to the ukulele. And then actually the charango in Peru, it has 5 double strings, but the top 4 doubles are the same tuning as the ukulele.
Okay.
And so you've just got like one extra one at the bottom. And so people would hand me their cavaquinho or their charango, and I was like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Okay.
But,
It's the exact same tuning then, like just
the top
good
top
children
4
eat
doubles.
apples, that kind of thing. Do you do
Yes.
good children eat apples, or do you do there's one with like they do it like half step down or something
No, I do.
with
Yeah.
like F sharp
But
instead of G and
I've
stuff?
I've never heard it called "Good Children Eat Apples," but now
teach
I've always heard
children.
it as "My dog has fleas."
What does that mean though? I'm like, what? That doesn't tell you the notes. It's the sound. But if you're tone deaf, how are you gonna know that? So I'm like, good children eat apples,
Yeah.
or I make up different ones. So I bet I teach kids so they have to know these things. But no, that's. I mean, it's interesting because you even have this idea that guitar player they're turning guitars into ukuleles, right? Like where you now have these 4-string or 6-string ukuleles that play like a guitar, or like U bass is like a 4-string ukulele that's a bass. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, they sell like they're because they're a cheaper instrument and they're easy to play. Really, in the sense of starting, it's like C, F, and G. There you go, you're done. But I mean, when you have someone like you who's like the master, you're the pro. So, like probably all 157,000 chords. So it's probably okay.
No, I don't.
Okay. But
Thanks for believing so strongly in my abilities.
Well, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but I mean, you can always, when you go far with an exaggeration, just pull it back a bit.
All right.
So ukulele though it's kind of one of those interesting. I find it's one of those like it's easy to begin, but then it can take a while to get there because it's easy. The strings are nylon; they're not so bad. They're easy on your fingers. You said you do ukulele and people. You play people, which in my head can mean a few things. Do you play anything else though? Like
Yep, and well, I have an upright bass, and sometimes I play it, but I don't play it very often. Like I have more instruments that I play. I feel like I also have like as I said, like I always have these especially small like childlike instruments that I bring around with me. So lots of different percussions and I have a little xylophone and I have a little this little harp thing that you can play. But yeah, I mean, I would say that my first of all, I'm a harmony singer. Second, I'm a singer and a ukulele player.
Okay.
But yeah, I dabble. I dabble in everything else.
No, fair enough. I mean, I was just thinking because like I was fine going from ukulele, and if you're playing your double bass, those notes like a semitone apart is huge. Like for me, playing ukulele, I can barely get my fingers in it, like soprano ukulele, and then like going double bass, I'm like, okay. So I don't know how that feels to you, but
well, it helps on the bass that I don't know where the notes are. So I just really have to play it by ear.
You're just microtonal, just like G and a half sharp. Okay,
I'm like that sounds right. It's like, and then I never actually even have to tune my bass because I just play it where it is.
I mean, perfect. I mean, that's the fair thing. I mean, you're locked in. If you're out of tune on the ukulele, right? Like it's gonna sound bad, but basically, be like, whatever, the note's here. I guess it sounds okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. Are there such things as fretless ukuleles?
I don't think so.
Okay. So you grew up in Daysland then?
Mm-hmm.
So I did teach guitar to one of your teachers, Helen Sather.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she mentioned you at one of the lessons. This was just before I was still teaching her a bit just before we got all closed down. But yeah, small world. She was your grade school teacher, something like that.
Grade 2.
Grade 2.
Yeah, grade 2. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I taught her. So there's a connection there.
I don't even know that I knew her first name was Helen. She's like Mrs. Sather.
Okay.
You know, like your grade school teachers, they don't have first names. It's all like Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, I mean that's anyhow. And so Daysland, and then did you like move to cameras? Did you hang out in cameras, or what happened between those years, formative years, let's say?
Yeah, actually, so I lived actually half my growing up was in Daysland. The other half was in a town called Minburn, which is up on Highway 16 between Vermilion and Biggerville.
Okay,
And and yeah, I mean, I also sang in a quartet there. Um, one of my friends, his mom was a pianist, and then there were four of us that sang. We went up to some choral gatherings up in Edmonton at King's College as well, and because I mean the really difficult thing about growing up in rural Alberta or rural Canada, I would imagine, is that it like your opportunities to have a music class in your school, like the quality that they have over at the comp or something like that, is just like it's very rare, and it's only because someone has an interest, or there's someone in the community who is willing to come in and do some of that work. And
yeah,
so our music was done extracurricular, and then we also had a theater group that was extracurricular. It was community based, not
right,
not in the school itself. So, but yeah, it was an opportunity to continue doing music. And
okay.
yeah, then there was a whole period of time in there where, I mean, I discovered karaoke. And
I mean, yeah, I only karaoke in very particular settings because I know just stupid songs. Like I'm a Weird Al person. I'm a Beatles person, of course, but it's like my taste in music is different than some people's. Um, and so, where did you graduate then? Did you graduate? Oh, go ahead. You
yeah, so I graduated in Manville. But anyway, so long and winding road back to Camrose. I came here to finish my degree, after I had been teaching abroad for 4 years and da, da, da.
okay?
Anyway, come back here. And I remember, it was when the Rose City Roots Music Society was first starting to bring live music to Camrose over at
Okay.
Scallywags. And that during that period of time was when I came to see music as something that we do, not something that they do on the stage, on the radio, and stuff like that. And the generosity of sharing that with people.
Hmm.
Like I remember being at Scally's and enjoying this incredible music that it was like, how is this happening in Camrose? Like this is incredible. Like what's going on? And just feeling so grateful that these people were willing to do something that I myself was like, I'm like, I can sing, but like I wouldn't do it in front of people, kind of thing, because it's vulnerable.
Hmm.
There's a vulnerability that you have to embrace to be able to get up and perform. And so, here are these people doing this. And that's when I first went to my first folk music festivals, like small ones, like Pembina River Nights was the first one I went to. I also went that year to South Country Fair, Robson Valley Music Festival. All of these really small ones that are about 500 or less people is my favorite, because the music happens on the stage all day long and you're like, wow. And then that night you're sitting around a campfire and you're like, hey, I saw that person on the stage last night, and here they are playing and singing along on something that I'm doing. And just that sense of like, wow, we create music together. It's such a wonderful community building experience.
Hmm.
So
Well, and I mean, one thing I like about cameras, it's in part of the reason I went to Edmonton and I'm like this. I felt more isolated in Edmonton than I did here. The community, like the arts community, especially, is like kind of crazy. Like there's people who are like very passionate about art and like music and whatever. Um, yeah, and I think it's just you look at. I mean, there's people wishing there were more jams. Like before we got shut down, there were people like, "Oh, there used to be like jams every night of the week," and it's like, what happened? I know it probably didn't make a lot of money for some places, but it's like there was that desire still. People like playing music, even if they're not the best players in the world or whatever. They just want to get together and play. It's a philosophy I have with music. It's like I want to teach you to play your instrument so you can just go and play. You don't have to be the best person in the world. Just play. Like I like playing. I like playing music, playing games, whatever. Playing is fun. Playing with other people is really important too, because if you're playing by yourself, it's boring. I mean, it's just that kind of thing. And when you say playing with people, using that as your instrument, I think an audience is extremely important. It's really awkward these days watching, like, say, a late night comedy person right now. They don't have an audience, so like they make a joke. I'm quoting a joke because I don't think it's a joke, because it's kind of stupid, and they have no audience to reinforce that it's funny. So, like, I used to love playing drums, and you'd watch the audience, and they're dancing to what you're putting down, and you're like, yes, and it's that back and forth, like, yes, I'm making them dance, so I'm gonna play better, and then it's, yeah.
Although there's that one guy that's like,
I'll hit my snare harder on 2 and 4. I'm like, this is your clapping beat. Like, I'll stop doing ghost notes. I'll just be like 2, 4. That's it. That's your clapping beats. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I came to Camrose, as well, I think actually, so I came to Camrose, then I went away again. That 2009, whatever. Yep. But when I came back to Camrose and got involved with the Bailey, and that's when I started doing Songbook Sunday. And that was also born out of, you know, being in other countries where people get together and play music all the time. I was in a place in northern Goa in India, and like there's just a ton of coffee shops. That was basically my formation as a musician, was there. And so I would go from this coffee shop to that coffee shop to that coffee shop, and there's like 20, 15, 20 people playing in each one of them. Like, you're like, oh, I don't like this jam, like I'm gonna go to the other jam, and you've got people from all over the world on trumpets and oboes and violins and instruments that I don't even know the name of. And I thought, oh wow, this is what it means to be a musician. And when I came to Camrose, I was like what? Like, where's the jams? And there's no acoustic jams. Like, you can go and plug in, but for a ukulele, it's really hard to participate in that. So I started Songbook Sunday, made up little songbooks, and then people were welcome to just come, and we would do a song circle. And so people were learning how to do like classic song circle. You go around in the circle and people pick a song and you call out, some people were teaching us the Nashville numbering system, so you could just call out the numbers and that kind of stuff, and people were learning. And the feedback that I got was that people were like, what? Like, I've never played before with people. I've played my violin in the basement, but I've never played with anyone. And like, bands formed of people that would like get together afterward and play together and do this. And that came out of just hosting twice a month a space for people to come and be with other musicians and play together.
Well, and that would be another thing I'd love to figure out. Well, I mean, we're in a situation where it's kind of difficult to bring people together, but I mean, it'd be lovely to get something like that again. I mean, I was enjoying that too. It just kind of disappeared, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's when I was just starting to play bass too, like the double bass. I was like, I'm figuring things out. Yay.
Yeah, unfortunately, it became too much for me to organize on my own,
right.
And that's why it fell apart. So, but I'm sure that if there were a core group of people that would like to do the organization of it, that the Bailey, because they keep asking me, I'm on the board, right? And so they ask me about hosting something like that again. So when things open up, that would be a beautiful way to. Be able to call out our musicians, call out our audience members, and have people come and just enjoy music for the day.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm looking at in the future too, like as we get into fall and things. Well, first of all, with summer, we were doing those gazebo jams last year when the piano was out at the gazebo in Mirror Lake, but I haven't seen it there yet, so I don't know if they're actually going to bring it out because of whatever you want to call it, the plague, whatever's coming through. So still looking at an idea for that though, of just going and putting people in the gazebo and just play, separate. We don't need the piano there. Just every once in a while, just going there, and who cares? We don't even have to. We can just throw an announcement on and just be like, let's go play. But yeah, I think like in the winter and stuff, I just think it's important to get those people together in the sense that you said you can meet people that you wouldn't normally meet. You might form bonds. You might be able to play with them later. If you're new to music, you might be able to just pull an instrument you're not used to or that you're just learning and then join in. and it's
Or you can bring an egg. Just shake an egg, man.
I mean, I have one of those percussion bins that I have too, so I throw things at people, and I will throw them. I'm not gonna underhand it either. So, and tambourines hurt. Yeah, but
Be
yeah,
fast.
but I mean, my experience with those Sundays too was it was a forgiving. Like, you're not gonna be like, you suck, get out. It's like, no, like, cool, you did a solo. Even if it doesn't sound like it, you might feel it wasn't great, it's a way to learn and a way to grow.
Oh man, were you there when that little kid came in with his ukulele and played? He played the a song that is part of a movie, but he only knew the chords.
Okay.
So he just sat there and he played it, but you could see him singing it inside of his
Yeah.
head because he played. I think it was just like a GCD
Yeah.
song,
Okay.
just in that order, GCD. And so he just sat there for like the full 2.5 minutes playing his
Yeah.
GCD of the song. But it was like, yes, what a great experience for him. And were you there when oh, and I don't know if Sandy is still around or not, but he came in, he was 92 years old, and one time he brought his friend Bob, who was 91.
Okay.
And so Sandy got up there, and there's a video on the Bailey's Facebook page. So Sandy's up there playing, she'll be coming around the mountain, and then Bob is tap dancing.
I wasn't there for that one.
Oh, like my heart. And Sandy would come in at the very beginning, and he's like, I just want to play on the stage, and then I got to go home. So he would just get up and play his song, and then he'd go home. I'm like, you're 92, man. You get to do whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one time we did one gazebo jam. A guy came. He was in a wheelchair, and he played the spoons with us. I'm like, yeah. It's great.
Yes.
It's fun. Like, people, and I think especially when you have some of these people in the senior homes, they've been pretty cautious with some of those places. So it's like they don't get out. And if they are able to, then it's like some of them want to play music. They play music, but they don't get a chance at this point. I
Yeah.
know people like Eric Olson used to go and play at some of the senior homes, and I mean, it was huge entertainment. Like, when music isn't there, it's, man.
They're trying to do some things with iPads there, and the Bailey is also trying to do some virtual concerts.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we would be able to use our theater as like the location of it. I don't know if you've seen the Starlight Room has been doing Starlight sessions, and so they put their
Okay.
bands on the stage.
And they
It's
just record it.
produced, but then they just broadcast it
Right.
live,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's no audience, but you still have the sound of the Starlight Room. And
Right.
so, like, I'm not sure if that's how we're going to be doing some things at the Bailey, whether there'll be like 50 tickets or 40 tickets that they can sell in the theater for people to watch socially distanced in the theater,
Right. So
but
people,
then but then that it gets broadcast as well. The kind of thing might be a solution, because we recognize, like, on the board, and like all of the volunteers that are there, we recognize that the reason that we're working so hard to keep the theater like financially viable with fundraising and stuff like that, is because we need to hold the space of theater, of music, of entertainment for our community until the community can come back together physically. And so thankfully we have things like the internet, so we can share some of that entertainment into people's homes. But yeah, just recognizing the role that we play in terms of mental health and well-being and stuff. So yeah, if you can, support the Bailey.
yeah. I mean, definitely. And I think some of this is when you're not sure when it will be back to live shows. Could be years. We don't want to say that with oh no, but like indoors live shows. I think outdoors is a little easier, but indoors it's going to be tricky to fill a room. So that'll hurt ticket sales even.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a movement to go more virtual, more online with stuff like that. Even though some things that are virtual, we had to talk about this before, we're not going to get too hard into it, but we talked about virtual something, and it's like, this is dumb. So there's some virtual things that work and will be necessary. I know a lot of church services and stuff, they're either pre-recorded now. I've seen it where some people are doing like the church worship music from their home, and then they send it to, and then it's spliced into a video for the weekly worship. And that's just kind of how it is right now. Which is, if you're a person who plays people, it probably makes it a little more difficult to be like, oh,
yeah, it is.
The lag
tough.
is real or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so again, I'm sometimes a little bit disorganized about things, but the other wonderful thing, just in terms of self-promotion, is Fika is going to be hosting a very socially distanced kind of music thing on Thursday evening. So next week, or this coming week, whatever date that is, I think it's like the 7th, it's the 18th.
18th, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what time it'll be, and I'm going to go over there this evening and look at how we might be able to set up some sound and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a great business, and then also a chance to get a bit of a feel for jaywalkers, what jaywalkers means to some of us, right? Like It is the shopping and that kind of part, and supporting all of our local businesses, but it's also a festival where Camrose people come together where they can. And so I'm really glad that Jen is hosting that space for music to be a part of it. Of course, it's a big yard, so like theoretically she could, by regulation, could have 100 people there, but I don't think 100 people would be a good idea in that yard, nor do I think 100 people will show up. So that's good.
Well, they could just be along also the berm kind of thing. They'd be like on the road and just like hanging out there. 'Cause you could probably hear it if you face the speakers and you're towards the highway. You could just have everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can follow Fika's like Instagram or Facebook, and they'll probably post something about that for times and things like that. So for that music.
Yeah.
We are low on time, so do you have like any songs or anything you want to do before we close out? Anything you want to?
I do. So this is my ukulele.
I mean, yours is a little more fancy than mine, so.
Yeah, and actually, I also have an electric ukulele coming eventually, which is very exciting.
What kind is it?
Sean is making it for me.
Okay.
It's actually made out of a poplar tree here in Camrose that was felled. And so he carved most of the body out of that. And then on the top, it's olive wood.
Okay.
The neck, Allison bought it. She just bought like a super cheap ukulele, but it provided the neck, and it's got it has a little tiny whale on it and a starfish.
Okay.
It's so good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm very excited for when that's done, but my stipulation was that it has to sound like a ukulele. It can't sound like an electric guitar, because most electric ukuleles sound like guitars. And so I'm hoping that that he'll be able to find a way to put the hardware in that makes it sound like a ukulele. But we shall see. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Like, what's your tune? What's your plan for us?
So I've been trying to learn. I mean, I could play one of my songs, which would probably sound better than what I'm about to play, because I've only been learning this song for about a day and a half or so.
Okay.
I sang it around the fire last night, but yeah, it's Muriel Buckley is her name. She's out of Calgary. Again, I think that it's important when we're learning songs to sing around campfires, or in our own performances and stuff like that, that we're amplifying the voices of our local musicians. And it's not that my voice amplifies Muriel Buckley so much, right? But it does. It brings her music into another circle and into another circle, and that's what folk music is, right? It's music that passes from folk to folk. And so I really follow Scott Cook's lead when I do that. If you've ever been around a campfire with that guy, he's always singing the songs of his friends and the songs of the musicians that he knows. And unless he's performing, if he's performing on stage, then he'll sing his own music, obviously. But when he's playing around a campfire, you won't hear him sing any of his own songs. He'll sing other people's songs all the time. Right. So So this is a Muriel Buckley song.
Okay.
She won the Project Wild this last year, which is a competition in Calgary. She won $100,000 for it. So yeah, she's great. And so I'm going to sadly not do a justice of her song because I haven't practiced enough. But anyway, it's called Rose Colored Frames.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
I'm going to take off my earphones so that I can hear myself. Okay. Oh. Oh. Oh well. I must be looking through rose-colored frames, and no matter how brightly the sun might be shining, things can never be the same. So while I'm living in the darkest of shades, I still be looking through rose-colored frames. In our pictures, we're smiling, still hardly denying the truth of our foolish mistakes. Holding on tightly, still fighting the pride and the plans that we made. And if I'm keeping myself honest as I'd intended to do, I should have let go when I felt so far out of love with you. So now I'm looking through rose-colored frames, and no matter how brightly the sun might be shining, things can never be the same. So while I'm living in the darkest of shade, I'll still be looking through rose-colored frames. I'm gonna attempt a solo. Sorry for the percussionists out there that I added an extra beat. But anyway, and if I'm keeping myself honest as I'd intended to do, I should have let go when I felt so far out of love with you. So now I'm looking through rose-colored frames, and no matter how brightly the sun might be shining, things can never be the same. So while I'm living in the darkest of shades, I'll still be living through rose-colored frames. I'll still be living through rose-colored frames.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for that. What was that song called again?
Rose-colored frames.
There you go. I guess I probably could have guessed that.
by Muriel Buckley. Yeah.
Cool.
Doesn't it sound like a June Carter Cash song? Hey, like it sounds really old.
Well, I mean, one of the songs I've been trying to work on is I'm kind of referencing it in the sense of like a Chuck Berry kind of old school rock. Like I'm like, got to bring some of that back. I love that stuff where it's just a clean guitar, like going crazy. It's great.
Yeah,
love
yeah, exactly.
All right, so that's all. Thanks for doing this with me. I'm excited for all the people coming, and this was fun. So, if you want to check out some Leslie stuff, it's in the description. And there's things like SoundCloud, Bailey Theater. You can check out some stuff there if you want to follow them too. Fika, talking about the music thing. Follow their Instagram. Follow their Facebook to see when they're going to have that, I don't know, music party. We'll call it music party. On the Thursday, it'll probably be better than that. I'm great with names. So, and yeah, as I mentioned, if you guys need sound stuff, I can bring some stuff over because I literally live 2 houses down from Fika, which is weird. Well, I just told people where I live. One thing I want to mention.
You didn't say which direction.
Yeah, I live on the highway in a hole. One thing I want to mention, and this is kind of more on the not as exciting thing. I want to just do a shout out to a friend who you've probably heard too. Darwin Redicop suffered a stroke, and we're all a lot of music people are kind of feeling it. I saw him almost daily, and it's been, when I found out from Jeff, I was kind of like, okay, because this guy, I always remember just walking in the store, and he was just, he'd make fun of me. That's fine though. It's like everybody makes fun of me, so why not him? But he had this dry sense of humor, and just, it's Darwin. Everybody knew him. So I want to put out some prayers and hope that he gets better from this, like he can get on his feet.
Yeah,
so I look forward to seeing him for. If you don't know him, he works at Martha's because they're still open, and he plays bass, and he's a great guy.
Yes. And he sings.
Yeah. No, most people wouldn't know he sings.
So the last time I saw Darwin, the last time I kind of interacted with Darwin, because you see him around, right?
Yeah. He's walking everywhere.
But the last time I saw him, it was a karaoke night at the Alice, and he was singing, and I said, "Oh, can I come and sing harmonies with you?" And because I used to play with Darwin, but he never sang, and so he is a really great singer, actually. And then he came up and said, "Hey, will you do another song with me?" And I was like, "Absolutely, for sure." And we had so much fun, and it was so nice to sing with him. And yeah, I'm really crushed that that he's having these health problems, and that, I mean, it's really difficult to know where someone will be at after suffering from a stroke. And so I just hope that I send clarity and dexterity to all of his doctors and the nurses that are caring for him right now, and that I just hope that they are able to do their best work, because Camrose needs him. He's just so good.
And he's just he's so chill. I don't know about it. He's just like a cult, he's low key and just just does his thing. So I mean, that's
forever, just straight.
He's a bass player. That's how bass players are. So
exactly, yeah.
But yeah, so hopes and prayers for that. Hopefully has good recovery on that. Not to leave everyone on a sour note with that, but that's just what I wanted to bring that up, because it is something that if you're part of the music community, probably heard about it at this point if you're on Facebook. So I just wanted to put that out there, if you haven't. So next week I'll have on Rob McMillan, who I play with him in the big band. He plays trombone. He does a lot of stuff. He teaches music. So we're going to chat about some big band stuff. So you can check that out next weekend. Time will be on my Facebook page for people interested in that. And if people want to see stuff like this, live streams, and I'm doing some other videos and stuff, continue, you can go to my Patreon. I'll put that in the description below, patreon.com/StephenHartMusic. All the money that people put to that, it'll go to upgrading some of the systems, so I can actually have sound panels so you don't hear the street that has the loud motorcycles and stuff. All those things. That's where all that money's going to go. So it's $350 a month, whatever. And if you don't like what's on there, because there's exclusive content on there, then you can unsubscribe and hate it forever. So thanks again, Leslie. I'll let you go. You're going to the city to buy a sink or something? Is that what you're doing?
I am. So here I am sitting in the midst of my renovation project.
Okay. Perfect. That looks, wow. I remember seeing your basement before. Yeah, that's
it looks way
nice.
Better, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So,
well, I'll let you go get your sink.
All right.
Have a great day, and I hope, anyone checking those later, you can send questions to Leslie. This, again, it's in the description. And everyone stay safe, and I'll see you next time. So, I'm just going to mute you for a second, then we'll debrief real quick, and then, bye all.